Okay, so today we're going to talk about complete the square. We've kind of talked about this before in unit in the first semester, so we're going to kind of revisit again. If you remember, complete the square is using this formula right here, b over 2 squared, and then it comes from standard form. We're going to go through how to find c first, and then we're going to do some examples, so kind of go slow through it. Okay, remember, the formula is b over 2 squared. If you remember, we're talking about standard form, so that's ax squared plus bx plus c. So it's the number in front of b. So this one right here. It also doesn't matter about the sign, if it's positive or negative. That'll come into play later on at the end of the problem. So we're going to do 14 over 2 squared. So 14 over 2 is 7. 7 squared is 49. So that means my new problem is going to be x squared minus 14x plus 49. So let you know this will always be positive. This will be always positive. Always positive, no matter what. Then the problem says factor. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to factor this down if you remember. The way we factor this down is you're going to find two numbers that multiply, give you 49, and add to give you negative 14. A little trick with every single one in this PowerPoint, every single one in your homework that talks about completing the square, it's always the same number. But what it is, this is when we're going to use this negative sign. If this is negative, then that's negative. Half of 14 is 7, and there you go. That's it. Let's move on to the other one. So 30. 30 divided by 2 squared equals 15. Then all we got to do is take 15 squared, and we're going to get our number. Remember, this negative doesn't mean anything until the end. We're just going to take 15, I want to make sure I get the right number. It's 225. So then we're going to rewrite it. X squared minus 30x plus 225. Remember that this is always positive, always positive. Now we're going to factor just like we did here. So that means x minus 15 20 squared. Remember, it's minus because this is minus, so that has to be minus, and it's half of this. Alright. Okay. So we're going to go over these three problems. You should have done 18 divided by 2 square. That is 9 squared equals 81. So let me rewrite it. Okay, there's your new problem. We're going to go ahead and factor this. I guess it's m, not x. So we're going to use m. Before I look right here, guys, this is a plus 18, so we're definitely going to have a plus. And this is 18, so half that's 9. Remember, 9 times 9 is 81. 9 plus 9 is 18. Over here, we got 32 divided by 2 squared. We got 16 squared. Let me double check. 18 times 256. So we got a squared plus 32a plus 256. So that means we're going to have an a. This is a positive, so it's a positive, and half of 32 is 16. Just like that, guys. And these are answers as well. Alright, down here, hopefully you can start doing these on your own before I do them, but 16 divided by 2 squared, 16 divided by 2 is 8 squared, equals 64. That means x squared plus 16x plus 64. So that means we're going to start with an x. This 16 is positive. So we're going to add half of 16 is 8. There you go. If you guys notice, these numbers here, you don't have to, are the same numbers here. Right there. Good coincidence. Okay, some more just sort of practice. We got b, remember b is this value here. b is 36 divided by 2. And we're going to square. Remember, we're using b over 2 squared. 36 divided by 2. Let's take that, 36 divided by 2. Should be 18. 18 squared. It's going to be 324. So I'm going to write this out, x squared plus 36x plus 324. Alright, we're going to have parentheses x, because it's a variable. Talk about 36 is positive, so plus. And then we said it was this number or half of this number, that's 18. Squared. It's going to just look just like that. Oops, this number not. Alright, we got 22 divided by 2 squared equals 11 squared equals 121. There you go. So x squared minus 22x plus 121. We have an x. This 22 is negative, so we're going to write negative, and then half of 22 is 11 squared. Down here we have 10 divided by 2 squared, so that's 5 squared equals 25. So that's part of your answer. Y squared plus 10y plus 25. We're going to have a y. This 10 is positive, so we're going to write a positive. Half of 10 is 5, and there's my answer. Okay, so we learned complete the square. Now what we're going to try to do is apply that to using circles. And now I'm going to go through a problem step by step, and I have the steps written out for you. It's a very complex problem, probably some of them, I would say, probably the most complicated thing you're going to do this entire unit. But if you take it slow, follow my steps, it's pretty simple. So, these are my steps. And that's a problem I'm going to do. Alright, step number 1, it says rearrange a problem with the x's together and the y's together. Put constant on the other side. Okay. So the first thing it says rearrange is so the x's together. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is put x squared first. Now when I move the 14 over, guys, I'm just moving it. It doesn't become negative 14. You only change signs when it goes to the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put parentheses right here. And I'm going to leave a space. I'm going to put a plus sign and do y squared minus 12y. And then we're going to put a space and do that. So what I did was just pretty much just move this over here and this guy right here. Just moved it around. But it says put the constant on the side. If you don't know the constant, guys, that's this guy. It wants me to put it over here. But remember, when I move the 4 to the other side, it's negative 4. So you got to remember. Okay. So this is the hard part. These are all hard. But this is step number 2 is the hardest one. It says complete the square for both x and y part. For the x and y part. Don't forget to add the number on the right side. So, what we're going to do is we're going to complete the square with 14. So, just like we did in the last, we've done a ton of examples. So, I'm going to take 14 divided by 2, and I'm going to square it. Okay, that equals 7 squared equals 49. Okay, that means I'm going to put a plus 49. Now, don't stop right there. You got to remember this. It says do not forget to add numbers to the right side. Because remember, guys, if I do something, if I add a 49 to the left side, I have to do 49 to the right side. It's just counterbalance. It's like you want to keep this teeter-totter balance. If I put 49 pounds on the left side, I have to put 49 pounds on the right side to make it balance. So I'm going to put add 49. Okay? Remember, I got the 49 from right here. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my y values. I'll take it doesn't matter if it's 12 or not, or negative 12, positive 12. We're going to keep it the same. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 squared is 36. So I'm going to put a plus 36. Remember, if I add 36 here, I have to add a 36 here. Okay. So that's what I did. Let's review really quick. I completed the square. That's exactly what I did here. All this work right here, I know that's a lot, but we just did that 2 slides ago. So I took 14 divided by 2. That's 7. 7 squared is 49. So I rearrange it so I have x, x, and I have my number here. Then I have y, y, and I did complete the square with the 12. And I got 36. Remember, guys, if I add something to one side, I must add it to the other. So I'm going to add all these together. So that's 1 and 2 done. Now let's just factor both x and y. Okay. So I'm going to factor this, just like we did before. So it's going to be x. This is a positive 14, so I'm going to do a positive number. Half of 14 is 7. Then we're going to square it. Over here, we have a y. 12 is negative, so I'm going to put a negative. And half of 12 is 6. Okay, now you can grab your calculator. And you're going to take 49 and combine all 3 of those numbers. And you're going to realize that's 81. And there you go. Now, if you're just looking at this, should look very familiar. That looks like my circle. Has center negative 7, 6, and radius 9. If you can't remember that, then you got to put some review in. And there we go. And we're going to go over plenty more examples on this. Alright, so we're going to go through another complex problem. Step by step. Alright, step number 1, if you remember on the previous slide, was to rearrange everything so the x's and the y's are together and the constant is on the other side. Every problem is going to be different, guys. It's not going to be the same. So if I look here, my x's always go first. Always, always, always. So I'm pretty much just switching these two. And what I usually do is I usually leave a space because we're about to put something there. But if you guys notice, I have to move this over here. if you move a letter, or if you move anything across the equal sign, it changes sign. So that's why this negative y squared is going to become a positive y squared. This negative 2y is going to stay the same. And the 64 is already over there. We want it over there. So I want x's first, I want y second, I want my constant with no variable on the right side. If it was on the left side, for example, if I put it over here, we would have to change the sign. So all I do is move numbers around, which I can completely do. Over here, so I'm going to take 8 divided by 2, I'm going to square it. So I get 4 squared, I get 16. So I'm going to put 16 right here, plus. Remember, if I add 16 over here, I must add 16 over here. Over here, I got 2 divided by 2 squared equals 1 squared equals plus 1 plus 1. So there we go. Now I'm going to factor this as x plus 4 quantity squared plus y minus 1 quantity squared equals, now let's take 64 plus 16 plus 1 also equals 81. There you go. So once again, I got the plus 4 because it's plus right here, so it has to be plus here, and half of 8 is 4, and once again, if that's 4, that's 4. Once again, this is negative 2, so that's why it's a negative 1 right here, and half of 2 is 1. And if I add all these together, I get 81. So there's my answer. And if you want to tell me more, center is at negative 4 of 1, my radius is at 9. Okay, so we got 2 more problems. Remember guys, every problem is different. You're going to get a problem that you have to move a lot, and there's some that you have to move very little. So we're going to start with this one. First off, the x's are already lined up perfectly for me. So x squared plus 2x. I don't have to do anything with that, which is nice. We're going to leave a space. Remember, I always leave a space. Plus. The y squared is exactly where I want it to be. But that 10y is not. The 10y must be moved to the left side, which becomes negative 10y. And then we're going to leave a space, but equals 55. So every problem is different, but you just got to remember the x's go first, the y's, and then the constant at the end. Alright, let's quickly do complete the square. 2 divided by 2 equals squared equals 1 squared, so that's plus 1. This is negative 10. Well, actually, remember guys, it doesn't matter if it's negative or not. It's not going to change the answer of this guy. Equals 5 squared equals plus 25. Remember, you can't forget that if I add 1 over here, if I put a 1 here, I must put a 1 there. I must add 25. So don't forget about that. Alright, we're going to get x plus 1 quantity squared plus y minus 5 quantity squared equals, that's 55, 60, 70, 81 again. So my center is negative 1, 5, and my radius is 9. There's my here, and there's here, 2 different things. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and erase this so I have enough room. Oops. Ah. Wrong button. Okay. True. Alright, so I'm going to move things around. So you always want your variables on the left side and your constants on the right. So you see I have to move a lot of things. Every single one of these has to be moved over here. Every single one of this has to be moved over here. So these all become positive. Remember, positive, positive, positive. So that means x squared is going to go first. Plus 24x. A space. Plus y squared. Plus 6y because it was already positive. And it's going to equal negative 137. Because if I move the 137 over, it becomes negative. So we're going to take 24 divided by 2 equals 12 squared equals 144. So it's 144 plus 144. This one's going to be 6 divided by 2, which is 3. And 3 squared is 9, so it's going to be plus 9, plus 9. So we're going to get right here x plus 12 plus y plus 3. And it's going to equal, I should use my calculator, 144 minus plus 9. 16. It's going to equal 16. And there we go. I just couldn't fit it all in one spot. There we go. Alright, last 2 examples. So, left one, all we're got to do is just move some, rearrange stuff. X squared always goes first. Plus 2x. We're going to leave a space. Plus y squared. So this 24 has to be moved over here. So since it has to be moved, it becomes negative 24. space, and we're going to leave that as negative 20. So that becomes 2 divided by 2 squared equals 1 squared equals plus 1. Oops, that should have a y. Negative 24 divided by 2 should be 12 squared plus 144. So I have to add 1 plus 144. So we're going to factor plus 1 squared plus y minus 12 squared equals 25. There you go. My center's at negative 1, 12. My radius is 5. Well, so when you do this, this will come out to be a perfect square to make things all look nice and purdy. Alright, so the only thing I have to move is this guy over here. So I get x squared plus 8x, leave a space, plus y squared plus 32, y, leave a space, and equals negative 263. So if we can do this really quick, I'll just do it really quick for you. This is 16. And then this will be plus 256. So we have to add 256 plus 16. Now we're going to go ahead and factor this as x plus 4 squared plus y plus 16 squared equals 9. So my radius is 3, and my center is negative 4, negative 16. And there you go.